TechManPat here. Apple has decided to jump into the VR wearable bandwagon. So from the WWDC, we're going to talk Vision Pro. We're going to talk about this AR, VR headset. Is it worth money? And how badly is it going to cost you in Australia? So let's get started. Make sure to like this video if you do. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's roll the intro. I want to talk about the price straight away, but I think we should leave it till last because there's some context about this. Now, I have an Apple iPhone. I have a MacBook that I use for work. My daily driver is a Windows PC. I like Apple stuff. It's great, but I don't know if I'd pay that price. If I have lots of disposable money, maybe. But in today's inflationary period, this product just doesn't fit in. But let's talk about the product itself and see what it's about, and is it actually what people are calling it, and if that dollar figure does match the reality of the technology. That's the VR headset. We can put the links below for this website. It is just their announcement website telling you all about it. It is a headset that you put on your head. It has a battery pack that gives you 2 hours worth of use, which is not a lot, but it does have a USB-C plug on the side that you can then plug in another battery pack. It is meant to be used sitting down or standing in one spot, technically speaking. It's all the advertisement that we got showing us that. And it is going to be showing you content in front inside the world that you exist. It has a little knob on the side that lets you remove the world around you or insert more world around you. So you either have a floating screen in front of a desk that you might not have a monitor in front, or you can have a nice tropical or a jungle or a snowy, mountain behind the screen that you're watching. So from the first get-go, it looks like it's a media consumption device, and that's kind of cool. Honestly, the technology to enable really high quality content consumption on a VR device that's strapped literally in front of your eyes has been behind. It's been lacking. Every single device out there, I've tested a lot of VR headsets. I've had a couple of myself. I've gotten rid of them after playing around and testing and making videos because it's not something you can use long term, and the screen door effect and the pixelation is just not that great. Even the latest and greatest technology is not as good as this one is being touted to be. So we'll talk about the specifications in a moment. I still want to talk about these use cases because they actually are pushing towards a business world, and as soon as that happens, you have a premium on the price. But I think there's a distinction that you have to note about the price, and we'll talk about that in a second. You have a floating keyboard, which means that the only, controllers you have are your 10 digits. And that means if there's a keyboard in front of you, as it is shown in here, it's floating, you tap into it and you can type. Now, how that experience is going to work, well, that's questionable, but it has a lot of sensors just below the actual headset to calculate where your hands are at. The other thing is the way you interact with the world out there after it scans your irises, which is interesting in itself, but after it does that, it can track your eyes. So if you're looking at a button somewhere, it'll highlight that button, it'll start moving or sort of extrapolate itself, and then you tap like this, and that's it. And it's got a 12 millisecond of latency, which is pretty much unnoticeable in the world. You'll see things happen instantaneously. Now, the one thing you should note is that all these apps are from Apple, so no third-party apps are being shown here, but the idea is that they're pre-releasing this a year in advance, so developers have a chance to build things for this. So that's kind of exciting. It'll have a big runway before it actually gets released of apps to go on this, which is great because when the first iPhone came out, there were no third-party apps. You were just locked into what Apple was giving to you. So business use, it can extend your monitor, it can extend the desktop that you are working on, but it's got to come back to that point. How long can you spend inside this device, especially if you're working? Now, 2-hour battery, yes, you can plug it in and have it, unlimited in a sense. But is it going to be comfortable? It is made out of metal. It is very heavy. It's not going to be the lightest thing in the world. There's glass, there's a screen in front. We'll talk about those weird eye things in a second, but it's not something that could be seen as comfortable from the get-go. Now, with the array of cameras and sensors on this device, you can do things like 3D photos, where you basically skip your child's first steps and you have this giant box on your head and you record that moment so you can re-watch it. Now, we probably assume that this is going to look really ridiculous, and I think we're all going to be right on that. I can't imagine parents standing there with one of these on his head and trying to enjoy the moment, but instead trying to record it. I mean, it already is ridiculous when you get your phone out and you're like, "Oh, child, look at the cute thing you are doing. Oh, yes." And then everybody's like, just get off your phone and enjoy the moment with your child, maybe. I mean, back in the day, you'd have a massive camera like this and you go around trying to record what your kids are doing. So don't get me wrong, it still exists. Somebody's going to use it, and maybe it will be the next best thing. I can imagine some scenarios where, you know, if your child has, I don't know, left the country. I didn't want to say something more sad, but left the country, and this is sort of the memories you can have right now. And that's, I guess, kind of cool in a way. You can have video conversations, which is, I think, a giant waste of time, because the only thing you get is a 3D avatar of your face. It is better than Meta's face, which is kind of like a cartoony thing. This scans your face and creates a sort of realistic avatar. There's a bit of uncanny valley there. It doesn't look quite great, but that's okay. It's, you know, it's Apple. It's done something to replace something. But if I'm having a video call with somebody, I kind of want to see their face and I want to interact with them as far as I can. I'm already digitally divided. I'm already on a video call with them. Why would I want to talk to an avatar that looks kind of like that person, but not really? Anyway, the device is beautiful, as is tradition with Apple devices, and we have the operating system, which is Vision OS, and of course there's going to be now another stream of operating systems that they have to manage. The code base must be getting really crazy. In any case, it looks very much like an iPad screen or an old PSP screen. They have those little floating icons there, as you can see. Hey, it's gonna have to work. It's probably a very good design, a very human design, and I'm sure it'll be fine. All right, the eyes. And I'm sure everybody has seen this photo. It's kind of funny. It could be a little bit creepy. I mean, it looks strange, it looks weird, but the idea is that it has an OLED screen right here, and it projects your eyes onto that OLED screen, and then it uses the cameras out front to catch who's looking at you to point those eyes in that person's direction, so it doesn't look like it's just a flat screen of irises. And look, I don't know how it works as the person sitting in front of a person wearing one of these Vision Pro headsets, but I can tell just from the photo, it is a strange thing, and I don't see the reason for it. If somebody's wearing one of these devices, they're wearing one of these devices. Just deal with it. You're not gonna. I'm not gonna sit there and talk to somebody with one of these headsets on and be like, "You can see my eyes, right?" But I guess it's a little bit more comfortable if you're in the same room with somebody, especially in an office. Maybe there's multiple people using it, and maybe if they look at you, and then I don't know. I just don't see it. If I'm talking to somebody that close, I'm just going to be like, "Hey, yeah, okay, cool, no worries. Let's just pop that back on." I think it's a bit ridiculous. All right, specifications. This is the part that's going to make or break the device. If the vision through the lens is not clear, perfection, then I think this is going to fail as a product, no matter how many gimmicky things it has, like the eyes or tap to click. I mean, I don't mind controllers, but maybe the hand's better. Now, more pixels than a 4K TV for each eye. Okay, fantastic. No screen door effect, hopefully. No pixels to be seen, perfect. It has OLED, which means the darks are gonna be actually dark, which means the only thing stopping you from feeling like you're immersed is the gaps between your nose and eye ridges, I guess, when you're trying to darken the area around here so no light gets in. 23 million pixels, delivering stunning resolution and colors. Well, of course, it's OLED, it's gonna be very good. So this is gonna make or break. Secondly, it has spatial audio using something called ray traced audio, which we kind of know that word from NVIDIA's, I suppose, current lineup of graphics cards. They use that for light. It means that when a light bounces around, it'll bounce as if it's falling from a real light source. So on my shirt here, it's falling and then it's being stopped by a ridge and it's a bit darker. So think of spatial audio as a similar thing. It'll bounce around the objects in the room. So if you're in VR or AR, it'll be in as if it's bouncing off these things in your room and not just going to your ears. And again, it's all about immersion to, I suppose, make you feel like you're not wearing a headset. And I guess that's the idea. It's using the M2 chip, which we know is very powerful in the first place. It'll do both the CPU processing and the GPU processing on the device. And M2 is very, very powerful and it's very efficient, hence probably the battery pack really being small, and only 2 hours is probably reasonable for something that also has screens inside and a whole array of sensors. Now, the sensors are run by an R1 chip, a brand new chip, and let's be real, humans are humans and sex sells. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. If there is adult content on this device, if Apple allows it, it might make or break this device. It is probably one of the most popular VR users after gaming, obviously. And the issue is it could be like VHS versus Betamax. It could be like HD DVD versus DVD. If there is a point in time where the Apple device doesn't allow adult content, then it might not do very well. But knowing Apple, they might actually block it. Let me know your thoughts below. Is that something that should be allowed on your own device? All right, let's talk price. $3,499. That translates to $5,238 plus tax. So $5,500 Australian is what you're probably going to be looking at if you want to buy this product. And you know what? That's not cheap at all. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's ridiculously expensive. But let's have a little bit of a think about this. If you want to buy a very powerful Mac, let's say the standing Mac, it's about 6,000 Australian dollars to get one of those, or maybe 7,000, fully spec'd out. Get a bunch of 4K monitors. Yes, that's going to be obviously more expensive. So from a performance point of view, you're for $5,500, you're getting a very compact computer with this headset that's also AR and it's also VR in a way, and it has some very incredible features. And if those screens and those lenses provide an amazing experience, then you've got a great product on your hands. So $5,500 is like getting a brand new OLED screen, and this is pretty much a replacement for it. Why do I say that? Well, if you want to get let's say a 75, 85 inch OLED screen from Sony or Samsung, they do go from 3,000 upwards. And if you want to get something decent with amazing performance, and it's real OLED, none of the ULED or whatever fake ones people create these days with micro LEDs, no, full on OLED, it's not cheap. So it's a price of a TV with a very powerful computer inside. So does that justify the price? Well, you could use that to justify it. Is it going to be a gaming device? I have my doubts right now. There'll probably be quite a lot of demos created by third parties. Will Steam create a Half-Life Alyx onto it? That could be a killer game on it, because in the game you already have hands and it already does a lot of things, but there's no haptic feedback when you're holding a weapon or throwing something. And that might feel a little bit weird for those people who are used to having some haptic feedback. Gloves with haptic feedback is probably the future at this stage, but a device that can use your hands as the controller is very impressive nonetheless. So Australia is going to get this device, I'm sure. It's going to be expensive, and the people who are going to buy it are going to be either extreme enthusiasts and probably rich YouTubers to make videos, I suppose. Is there going to be support from developers for it? It's got a year's runway to achieve that, and that's massive. And I think a lot of developers are going to jump on it and create some really exciting applications. Is this something that's going to replace a MacBook? No. Is it going to replace a Mac? No, it's not going to replace a computer. Will it replace a TV screen or a monitor? Yes, it definitely could. If you have a small apartment and you were going to go buy a TV and you can't fit a large TV, maybe 55 inches is the only TV screen you can fit, and you're going to buy an OLED, then why wouldn't you buy this? If you're a single person in a room. I suppose that's really the crux of it. If you want other people to enjoy TV, there's going to be other people who would need this device. But let's say you want to watch a big 100-inch cinema style TV. This will display, this VR AR experience can provide that. So if I was looking to purchase this, I'd have to understand the pricing from a point of view of buying a brand new TV to only use it to watch some content unless there are killer apps on the device. Friends, thank you very much for watching. I hope this sort of brain conversation we just had was worth the effort of clicking on this video. Make sure to like it if you did, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll catch you in another one. Bye.